it just was not what I was expecting.
Oh wow, that's awesome. What's up, DBG?
Hey, not much. What's up with you guys tonight?
Having a little fun, and wanted to talk a little bit about the Twitterness, and of Chicago hashtag, and then also enjoy myself a little bit on the side.
Oh man, a lot of that has been going on, not only on Twitter but on Discord. So
yeah, bring us up to speed, because I'm like, I've been out.
I don't know exactly what's going on, but there's been kind of like hints on Twitter, like I guess people don't like the fact that Sector Latino has pretty much taken over the supporter group spot, and I guess other supporter groups want to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I get this vibe is because Sector Latino, about a day or two ago, they actually posted something on Twitter saying, "Hey, we never prevented anybody from." So let me see if I think I still have it. Hold on. Where is it at? Yeah. So here goes. Said, "We have never suppressed any other groups or supporters. Sector Latino should not be punished or targeted for having engagement and vibrancy. Any group or person thinking that they are lacking in comparison should look inward first." So what I get from that is that there's probably other supporter groups that don't like the fact that Sector Latinos has become like this very organized supporter group that they bring their own drums, they bring their own band, they did their own tifo.
They get approved from the front office, seemingly.
Yeah, and
easily.
then
Mm-hmm.
they're and the problem is that you look at Sector Latino, it's a really big group of people, and they're probably the closest thing we have to a supporter group, to an actual supporter group.
Well, yeah, because what most people don't know is Section 8 is technically not a supporters group. It's the umbrella in which supporters groups live.
Yeah. And the problem with that is that, so first of all, let me, Sector Latino, what I mean by their closest thing to a supporters group is that if you go to the game, right before the game, they have like this whole march from the parking lot. They light up flares, they start dancing, they start singing, all the way, kind of like how Seattle does it with their supporter group, that they walk down the street and block off traffic. Same things, Sector does, but obviously, through the tunnel to the entrance of Soldier Field. Which is really cool. I think even some of the police officers that were just there, just watching, were actually taking pictures or whatever. They were enjoying the light show. But anyways, the problem with that is that you have, so now you have Section 8. The problem with Section 8 is that you have a bunch of supporter groups that, there's not a lot of support, so to speak. These are groups that may be numbered less than a dozen, half a dozen. Some of them that have gone quiet after the pandemic, and there's no really sense of coming together and create this whole atmosphere. It's more or less, it almost feels like Sector Latino just took up that mantle and did it themselves.
Well, is this a negative in some way?
It's not I don't think it's a negative. I think it's really good that someone actually decided to step up. There's those, and there are people uh in Section 8 and other support groups that wish they had the capo stand back. And I always thought the capo stand was horrible.
I don't understand the obsession either way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually think, as far as like, as a person, when you're not in Section 8, because like I've never been a season ticket holder, so I've gone to games all over the place. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've sat everywhere, and hell, half the time I just go over to Section 8, even if I have tickets somewhere else, right? Well, that was at SeatGeek, not at Soldier Field. But it looks cool to a person not in the section. It does. But also they don't let us do anything cool. Like, you can't be having flares up there, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't understand the obsession with it literally either way.
Yeah, and me neither. Because to me, if you were around, I want to say 2019, 2018, those years, like which I think of them as lean years. Um, there was nothing sadder than watching somebody on the Capitol stand trying to get the crowd going, and maybe you had maybe a dozen people probably going along with it. You compare that to an environment like in Seattle or an LAFC or an Atlanta. And that's why I made that comment that we look very semi-professional. When we had the Capitol stand and you had one guy trying to get the crowd going, and you had maybe a dozen people kind of going along with it. Everybody else was kind of just doing their own thing.
That's fair.
Which is fine. But now fast forward to now. Now you have a very organized group. That have taken upon themselves to pretty much do everything that Section 8 supporters groups should have done. They've taken it upon themselves to do it themselves. Um, they brought they have brought their own instruments. They have created their own tifos. They have their own cheers, and for the most part, everybody seems to be cool with it. And this is why I don't get the backlash, or not even the backlash, but the argument that, well, why are we not involved in stuff like this?
Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there's other countries like in Italy where supporters groups of the same team will be like have to be separated by fence because they're of different political leanings.
Yep.
So it's like I don't understand. Like it doesn't have to be a monolith, man. It doesn't have to be one form of support. I don't. It's a hard thing to quantify as well because it's like part of it's kind of dumb. Like,
It
let's be
is.
honest.
It
Yeah, it
feels
is.
yes.
Because the whole point of this is back in the day when you were in a poor ass fucking neighborhood and you had to throw down with your boys or like, you know what I mean? Like it was a social club on top of being support for a team, but pardon me.
It's your gang. It almost makes it. Yeah, it's your son. It's
Yeah,
like
to an extent, but not even always, right? Like even more like supportive in the community.
right.
Right.
That's its intention.
So then here in America, that's so plastic. Right, it's so lame and dumb kind of because there's like even when we do good causes, what are we doing? Just raising money for charities. Like if you really want to do something, go around and beat up drug dealers, right? Like
Yeah.
but but like for real or like, go around the streets and go get homeless people hotel rooms, shit like that, right? But you know, I don't know. That's the problem, right? Because that's partially what makes soccer awesome, is that support that you can't in America. I don't think you have that kind of support. Like you'll have places like Ann Arbor for football, but there is nothing that compares to a supporters group other
Exactly.
than the student section at a college basketball game.
Well, that's another thing is that no other sport really has what we think of as these supporter groups. Like you don't see a White Sox supporter group or like the White Sox supporter groups going to war because they're it's just the White Sox fans, and they all kind of how they separate is how they consume their media. Got some people are going for the Stoolies, got some people going to Ozzie Gene's baseball, got some people going to just so that's kind of how that sport gets meted out. Meanwhile, basketball is there an SG in basketball or in football? I'm talking NFL.
You might have like these little minuscule supporter groups, mostly like not even a supporter. Well, maybe just a group of guys that call themselves a certain name or something like that.
So because of that, it sounds like this is it's like kind of a rarity in American sports, but it is something that's special to soccer. And because it's special to soccer, maybe it's so new here. These people have not had enough practice or have enough years of experience behind them like those other supporter groups do over in Europe.
Well, I think I think you're right to the experience, but like not the experience part. Like, hey, idiots, you haven't cheered for a team long enough. No, it's more like the years of being in the community, like the fire food drive thing, should be so,
should be in its 21st year or whatever. It's in its 6th year.
Well, but like it should be so ubiquitous that you don't even actually think of the team or the sport of soccer when that charity is happening. Does that make sense? Like,
so it should be like
so ingrained into the community that you just call it the fire. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you get what I'm saying? Like, you never
So
think about the artist Picasso, but you're like, oh, I'll meet at the Picasso downtown.
so
You know
more
what
or
I mean?
less,
Like,
it's kind of like that reference of people going to like soup kitchens after Thanksgiving Day or something like that, or on Thanksgiving Day. Is
yeah,
that
I
what?
mean, to an extent, I'm just saying, like, what I'm trying to say is it's so hard for this to live in America because our society is like these things started before we had the society the way it was. You know,
Yeah,
when even in your own country, in a smaller country like an England, Manchester was so cut off from London, right? And so now we're connected globally. So I think it's really hard to get the actual legitimate feel of what these groups used to be. And to be honest, you watch these games in Europe, I think it's the same shit. Like I think they've lost their cred almost, right? Like it just feels like you know what it feels like? Feels like cosplay. It really does.
Yes.
And the problem is like I'm saying all this that sounds like I'm dumping on it.
No.
I love it. I actually do. Like, I don't love like jumping. Like, I mean, I can remember being in the rain, losing 4-2 to Portland with, Kenny Cooper scoring goals and jumping up and down on the steel bleachers, thinking I'm gonna break my neck, drunk as shit. But it's not my number one thing. I'm there to watch the game. So like I do love the support. I love hearing it come
yeah.
through the TV. I love seeing the kids go nuts because again, it's a kids game, man. Like especially support. It's an
And
early 20s game.
and it's funny you mention that because my whole experience as not only as a season ticket holder but as a fan, as a my first game, my very first game at a Fire game, at Bridgeview back in 2010. I was in Section 8, and the support then was amazing. Like
Oh yeah.
the
It
the
was lit.
chant, the chantings. Oh my God, that hooked me right then and there. That hooked me. I was like, wow, I want to be part of this. You know, um, but then throughout the years, that support has shrunk down little by
Mm-hmm.
little. You had supporter groups that have disappeared. I remember back in 2011, I remember seeing the Polish supporter group. I think it was called Husaria.
Right.
Um, they kind of disappeared. Um, even even ones that were just kind of made up, like banter buddies, those guys have disappeared. Um,
I was literally just gonna ask.
yeah, like those guys have kind of disappeared, and then now you have maybe a few supporter groups that don't have a whole lot of members left. And I did ask about this before, and then someone mentioned, oh yeah, it's because the club has banned them, and has and because the Fires suck. I'm like, well, there's two issues right there. If you stop supporting the Fire because they suck, then maybe you were not really a fan. You
Oh, I
know,
strongly disagree with that, man. We all
no,
gotta eat, bro. Like,
no, I'm not
uh,
talking about buying a ticket and saying, you know, going to every single game. But if you
Right.
like legit, if you legit just say, you know what, I'm not going to support the Fire anymore because of this reason, because they're horrible, because of this and that, and anybody else that wants, I tell people not to support them anymore. That's a different story. At that point, you're just being, you know, pissed off for no reason, and you were never a true fan. Um,
I you know, I tend to have a different view of this. Like I mentioned in the Discord, so I know DPG saw this. For a long time after like I think it was 2008 when the Cubs had just gotten swept out of the first round 2 years in a row. I was just like I just can't. I can't watch 162 games of this. So I would literally like wake up August 1st, check the old, standings, and if they were like in it, I'd watch the rest of the year. If they weren't, I didn't. You know what I
see,
mean? So I
yeah,
just
no, of
like
course,
because my time is valuable.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like if you like even right now, like think about a fool working in an Amazon warehouse for fucking 14 hours for 4 days, and then he gets a short day of 10 hours, and then his Saturday's free,
yeah,
and then
I
he's
know,
gonna go and support this team,
but
dude. I'd rather him do anything else with his time.
you know what the crazy thing about this is that back in the day when I used to work my old job, I used to have like this really messed up schedule. Like I used to start like at 4 a.m. and get out like at 2:30, and I used to work like Tuesday to Saturday. There was times that I will literally either after work just put on my jersey, my fire jersey, and drive straight to Bridgeville and watch the game. Or sometimes, if it was a Wednesday night game, I would drive out to a Wednesday night game, get home around 10, 11 o'clock at night, even close to midnight, and then wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work the next day. And that's the thing. That's my passion. Like
Right.
you mentioned
it was more of a party then, dude. Like, even I remember walking in there in a freaking suit and tie, like supposed to be working. I'm like, I'm gonna go make calls, and dipped and went to the free game. Remember, like the Open Cup game got rained out the night
Yep,
before
yep.
or whatever.
I remember
So I
that
went to
because
the
it
free
was it
game
was it
wearing
was
a
thundering
tie,
and stuff. Yeah,
everything.
yeah. No, but I mean, what I'm saying is that there's people, you know, that you mentioned about the Cubs about after 2008 or 2003 or whatever. Um, there were still people afterwards that literally followed the Cubs religiously.
Oh
That
yeah,
were,
my
that,
mom.
yeah.
She would watch every game, so I knew how they were
But
doing.
I would even say that those are really true fans there because they stick with their team no matter what. I mean, yeah, you could complain about them, you could, bitch about them on Twitter and everything, but you never turn your back on them.
Eh, I
But that,
yeah, I tend to
I,
feel like this team would turn its back on me and move out to Arlington Heights.
DPG, there is no loyalty. I agree. Like, it's hard to have loyalty when these teams turn their backs on you like nothing. Like, that's what they did when they left Toyota Park in Bridgeview. They absolutely turned their backs on a lot of families in the suburban area. And so it's like, on the one, they're a product. So I don't think of them as something as part of my blood. They're a product that I really like to support, and that it's part of local soccer, which I like to support. Chicago Fire means something to everybody, right? It means a little something else to DPG than it means to me, than it means to Tokyo, versus to everybody. Listen, for me, it's local soccer. It's like me looking at Manchester United and being like, I want what they have over there, over here, as much as possible, as much as that's possible. Like, good soccer, and to be helping the national team, and fun soccer and trophies. That's what I would like for Chicago. And that's the product I want. I'm getting it elsewhere, but at the same time, I still have to demand it and also support it. But also, there's other things vying for my time that I have to be like, this isn't worth my time at the moment. Maybe I put it on the shelf. But I get what you're saying. Like, you can't outright abandon it, is what you're saying, right?
And I agree. I think here's where the huge issue we keep like circling is, enough people have had the opinion that my Saturday is valuable to me. I work all week getting kicked in the nuts, and then I'm going to come to this game, and they're that bad. So then all these fun people go do something else fun. And so the thing that existed was that community outside of the team could turn its back on us. The team could suck, but hey, all these really fun people are in the parking lot. We're doing dumb games and having fun, and we're like caring about this thing together.
That was what Bridgeview was. Bridgeview felt so special. Like, when you went there, arriving before the game, we always made sure to arrive like an hour before the game, and at least, because even though we didn't we didn't really get along with Section 8 people. Like, we tried. We walked over there, said hello, and people would shake our hands, say hi to us sometimes, but they were a little afraid of us. But Sector Latino was always like, yo, what's up? Giving us a beer. Like, so that was another thing.
Actually, super inclusive. They have always been like super inclusive. I mean, it's like everything in life, man. There are multiple reasons.
We didn't know anybody in Sector Latino. Like, we didn't know anybody. But they're like, yo, what's up, beer? Have fun. Like, they're like, because they're there to have fun, like we are, to enjoy the fire. And then for other people, it's become... I read a comment about the supporters group on Reddit, and it was saying that for some supporters groups, it's not about the soccer, it's about the ability to be a supporters group.
Right. It's about hanging out with your boys. Like that. I mean, think about the three-headed monster of things that have happened that have made people not want to be together. And I think it's just like most things, like tax cuts. You don't see the problem with them until 4 years later. Guess what? We're now seeing the problem. It's like an analogy to the U.S. men's national team. We have a lost generation of supporters based on the Sector Latino ban, based on the editorial, and based on just literal dog shit soccer.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, and I think I don't know. This is kind of what what with the way I reasoned supporting the Fire back in 2010. Kind of how I took it all in was two things. Prior to me even supporting the Fire, I was like following European soccer. Like I was like back when I was in elementary school, I was like a Manchester United fan. I loved Eric Cantona. But the things I took out of everything and everything that I have learned up to that point is first, if you were to go to England and you went to these small towns that had, League 3, League 2 teams, you would and chances are those teams have a huge following. Like everybody in town gets involved, whether it's, you know, supporting the team or even things like donating their time to clean up the stadium, whatever.
They know who
But
missed practice that week.
Well, look
they
at
know who.
Wrexham. You get a little window into that in that Welcome to Wrexham show.
Yeah, you get a sense of community, right? And then the way I took it as
that the soccer is in the soccer team is interwoven with the community. It sounds like you're saying.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that I took it as this team, the Fire. They represent the city that I grew up in, the city that you know, you know, I don't miss the traffic, but that's where my roots are at. They represent that,
right?
and
the city you call home.
What the city I call home. They represent my home. So why would I throw away money supporting a team out in Europe that I might get to see in my whole lifetime? I might get to see it maybe once or twice because I'm not made out of money, and going to Europe is expensive, and when you add the hotel, it's utterly expensive. So why would I bother buying a jersey from Manchester United all the time? Trying to sign up for cable because I want to watch them on TV when I could just go support this team that's right here and that I have gone and checked out and I love the experience. Why not support the Fire?
Okay, guys, we're gonna cut that and send that to Chicago Fire because I'm in.
That's exactly what that's so perfect. That's why I even really got into MLS and just didn't even care about Europe because literally the time zone, just the games being on at night or in the middle of the day and
6 a.m. in the morning,
and I could party.
No thanks.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they weren't 6 a.m. games. Like you're not getting together with all your fucking friends who already don't really like soccer and are gonna sleep until noon to watch a game at 6. You're gonna be able to drag them to that 6 p.m. game.
Have you guys gone to the Globe at 6 a.m. for one of these EPL games?
I actually had a buddy of mine that I used to work with years ago. He was a big Liverpool fan, and he was always telling me, "Hey, let's go to the Globe Pub at 6 a.m. and let's eat some bangers and mash." And I'm like, "You're crazy! I'm gonna go to the Fire game. I'm gonna go to the Fire game at 7 p.m. You can meet me there."
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I agree with you. Like I'll stay at home watching with a cup of coffee, but to go to the bar, I'll do that at 7 p.m. or at 12 p.m. when the Fire are playing. It totally makes sense. By the way, nice hat there, Toke. I like that.
Oh, you like the crown,
dude? That's gonna be worth more money than you even realize. I think.
I have a crown. No, this smells like sweat. I have a crown. I have a crown scarf though that is going to be worth a lot of money.
I have a Crown lakefront jersey that is signed by Gaga.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, keep that. That's going to be so rare. People are going to want that in 20 years. They're going to, they'll pay $1,000 because he's going to be special.
I hope Gaga is special. But back to the point is like, I never went to the Globe. The only time I tried, they were like capacity. But I did go to Cleo's for a few things earlier in the day, right? And it's cool and all, but like again,
it's a fun time.
What's really dope is like this, and this is how I sell the soccer. This is how I sell soccer to people who don't care. I say the game can end in a tie, so it's 2 hours no matter what. It's 7. I tell them this: it's 3 hours of drinking, 2 hours of a soccer game, and then it is 9:30 on a Saturday night, meaning you have infinite amount of time to go and party the rest of the Saturday night. You know what I mean? So like why give that up to be up at 5 a.m. watching Tottenham or some stupid shit? Like
yeah, like
why Tottenham? Jesus Christ, these people are glutton for punishments if it's Tottenham.
At 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., I'm like scoring the winning goal at the World Cup in my dreams.
Yeah, you know, I'm sleeping.
If there's ever an unambitious EPL team, it's fucking Tottenham.
Right. I just threw one out there, bro.
But the thing, what cracks me up is that you have a lot of US fans that are so dedicated that they will literally wake up at 5 a.m. to go sit at the Glow Pub and watch a Premier League team, play.
So there's a simple explanation, DPG. They're stupid.
You know what? So I don't want to bash. I don't want to bash people that have.
I'm just being silly because I will every once in a while maybe get up, but yeah, there's an enjoyment to it.
That's them, but like if you try to think logically about it, you're like, why would I want to support a team that's 2,000 miles away when I have one perfectly here
that you're paying taxes for?
You're paying
like the people who watch the Patriots. It's like I don't care if they suck. Like my sports teams are Chicago, and that's how it was when I grew up in Peoria. Cubs, Bears, and
Oh yeah, all my sports teams are Chicago. No sports team of another town or city is in my top things. Rugby maybe, but the rugby's not.
Yeah, like my brother, I don't know, like he likes going to St. Louis like for a weekend getaway. Like ever since they came out with a team, with an MLS team, he's been like, "Oh, when are the Fire gonna play St. Louis? I want to go see St. Louis."
Dude, I hear St. Louis stadium's sick.
But the thing is that he has this thing about St. Louis where to a point that he has asked me to add him to my family group to freaking watch St. Louis play on Apple TV.
Yeah.
He's already telling me, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy the St. Louis sweater," and I always keep giving crap about him. I'm like, "Dude, you're not even from there. You never lived there.
Why?
Why? It's because the Fire suck." I'm like, "So what?
So what? They're Chicago."
Exactly. Like.
Exactly. I'm with you guys. Like that's I don't know. I guess that's a certain mindset we all share. It's like I'm in Chicago.
We're Chicago. We're just a bunch of Chicago guys.
We've all paid for the city stickers.
Yeah. Or the tickets.
Or the tickets, speeding tickets.
Yeah. Or the cameras.
Yeah. City of Chicago, undefeated.
But here's the thing, like this is going back to going back to supporter groups. It's just like ever since the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, the supporter group activity at section was kind of waning a little bit. And you could see that in the stadium. Like you didn't have that whole hyped up party atmosphere anymore. Kind of had like maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen people kind of go along with the cheers. And if I recall, when we came back from the pandemic, I think it was at the end of 2020 or 2021 or beginning of 2021, they had stated that Sector Latino was going to take one side of the field, one side of Soldier Field, which was behind the goal where they're at now, and then Section 8 was going to be on the other side of.
Yeah, that's what I thought the whole deal was going to be.
And the thing is that I think the first game I came back, there was like maybe a dozen people that were supposed to represent Section 8, and then you look on the other side and you had like maybe 3 or 4 dozen people, representing Sector Latino. And that should tell everybody like what direction this whole supporter group atmosphere is going towards too. And now, even now, it's not even Section 8 on that end is like non-existent. I don't even think they have anything going on over there anymore. Whatever few remnants of Section 8 probably have walked over to Sector Latino, enjoyed their, festivities and their cheers and everything. But that was it.
I mean, they have more fun. You know what I mean? Like I remember the first ever Fire game I went to. They played Columbus in an Open Cup game down in Peoria at the stadium where the USL 2 Peoria team, Peoria City FC play. But we had like actually great tickets like in the center of the park, right? And I looked over and I'm like, they're having way more fun behind the goal just standing there. So I just got up out of my seats and went and hung out over there the rest of the game. Like that's my first ever Fire game, period. And you know, it was Sector Latino and Section 8, where, you know, like, it was back when it was bumping. But still, man, like, that's as much as we talked about, like, it being cosplay, that's still what helps drive you and bring you in. It's
Yeah.
still fun, man. It adds so much to the atmosphere of the game. It really does.
I think a lot of it too has to deal with the fact that, you know, throughout the years, a lot of these, you know, Section 8 supporter groups have actually constantly fought these political battles with the front office. That hasn't done them any favors.
No.
Well, I mean, I think the front office is what's killing it. You know, it makes people not want to, like I said, like, think about oh my god, what's it called? The thing that the guy wrote. Oh my god.
The editorial,
the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, exactly, the Communist Manifesto.
You know,
the Dead Sea Scrolls. Anyway, no, the editorial. You know, like that really pissed everybody off. Like, rightfully so. Like,
oh, that's because it was a hit job.
Duh.
You know, and no, you're right.
The Latino ban was bullshit. It totally was bullshit.
That was Enrod's doing. I'm glad that they reversed that decision, because that's probably one of the better decisions the FO did, because now they're kind of reaping fruits of that decision, because now they're making videos like when MLS does a little piece of, you know, if they give the fire to 2 seconds of fame, they tend to show Sector Latino, you know.
Oh yeah, especially now.
What would the fire do without Sector Latino? I mean, what would the atmosphere be like without them?
I mean, it'd be pretty quiet right now, I think. But
yeah, it'll look like.
Let's be honest. Even some of the most supportive people that we know online, and some of the people who are like, I'm going to use this phrase, but I'm not trying to make fun of them, who are butthurt about this kind of accusation of supporter culture being toxic and counterproductive. Some of them aren't the ones who sit and sing the whole time and jump up and down. They're some of the people who organize everything. They're some of the people who are painting the banners. They're the people who are actually doing the charities, but they're not the youngins who are going to get drunk and lose their mind and sing so loud that it makes everybody else hype. You know, like, and that's where I say with the editorial, with the band, with how bad they were, the rebrand that sucked. Like, we're missing a whole generation of mid 20-year-olds who would give a shit about this team and go nuts.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where I think that's just like us. It's just all a symptom. You know, it's all symptoms to the problem that we're looking at. I don't think, and I hate to say this, dude, but I think all of these problems stop the minute we start winning.
I don't think
the
so.
truth. That is true.
I think these problems are deep seated.
No.
Deeper.
They are, but if we start winning, it'll be a little bit more fun. And even if you're mad at,
but boys, we saw winning. We saw winning in 2018 or 2017, and it didn't last. And that's the thing about winning, is if it doesn't, the winning doesn't last. It has to be more than just winning.
Yeah, it has to be like 4 or 5 years of being really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't have to necessarily even win anything, as long as you're going to like conference finals and like in the playoffs and like,
you know,
we would have won, but this person got hurt. Like,
my point is, it was so easy come, easy go. Like, if you build up goodwill with good season after good season after good season after good season, and are making the playoff season after season after season, which the Fire have not, as we all know, then that gets more and more people to go, and they're building on it. Right now, they're just losing because they just keep missing the playoffs.
Because you know who a supporter is? Somebody who went first as a person who was like, oh, cool, I want to see some soccer. And so they showed up, and if the soccer's good, they're going to keep showing up, and then they're going to meet that person who sits over there. And
or they buy a season ticket for MLS because it's the best deal, $99 for a whole season of soccer for basically a season ticket.
And if you have T-Mobile, you could catch it for free. I think you have a few.
Best thing a corporation has ever done for me.
But here's the thing. I agree that if the Fire were to win again, have like winning seasons, all these supporter group issues somewhat disappeared. I mean, they're always gonna be. There's always gonna be some type of friction, but it won't be magnified as much as it is now.
Well, I think that also helps is the front office is better than it was before. It was
Yes.
extremely combative. This is why I think, you don't have to necessarily worry so much with the with like if the winning happens, they'll start showing back up because this front office isn't going to be so combative about every stupid thing.
And the whole supporter group situation, I'm looking at it as an independent supporter looking from the outside in, like based on as how long I've followed the fire all the way up to now, and plus all the drama that's played out on Twitter these past couple of years. But thing is that first you got to give it to the people that are out there, you know, giving up their time to paint, to practice, to learn some new cheers. Those people right there, those are actually like that's dedication right there. Those are really real
Oh
fans.
yeah, that
You know,
big shout out to everybody who's willing to do that. Big shout out to people like I don't know if you guys, I don't know this guy personally, but that Marty Party Cat does the fire food drive, right? Like
yep.
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the food drive. Shout out to like Nicole Heck, all the shit she puts together. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like it. There's a lot
Even
of good
And they're
people
part of Section 8, or at least they
yeah,
used to be.
well, I think it's more used to be. I think
Yeah.
I'm it's just outsider looking
and
in,
not
but I
only
feel
that,
like
but also like the people like someone mentioned on Discord, the people that try to organize away trips, people that
Mhm.
set all that up and update the page. That's you know kudos to them too, because hey, without that information, we wouldn't have any away support. When the fire plays, in places like Montreal or Kansas or Toronto or wherever. You know.
Oh man, and if they ever qualify for CCL, those are the people who could be setting up trips to Haiti.
Yep.
Like
I'm still waiting for them to qualify CCL if I could go to Honduras. Not
ooh,
visit family and watch the fire.
That'd be so
Not
cool, DPG. That'd be
I've
cool.
said it. You guys know this. I always said it before. I'm a big Olympia fan. Right now they're actually playing. I don't know what's the score line, but my heart is always gonna be the fire. My heart is ooh. Speaking of Olympia, they're beating Atlas 4-1.
no way.
Yep, 4-1.
Damn.
They're beating the defending Mexican champions.
What? That's
And
nuts.
the thing about it is that this was the team that we bought Hyro Torres from too, by the way.
Atlas
But
FC.
the thing about it too that I think I was reading the Honduran press, and I think Atlas players were laughing or kind of like jokingly taking Olympia. But I guess after tonight, I don't know about that anymore.
See, this is the exact reason why I hate the whole stupid Nations League thing that we're gonna do with Mexico. Like, dude, just do CCL. Let's involve everybody. Like, I liked seeing oh shit, who's the cats from Jamaica? Oh
Kaiser
God.
Chiefs. No, that's South Africa.
No, but they always had a funny name. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
I was gonna say Harbor View.
well, yeah.
Oh, Harbor View. No, that's
Yep.
that is Jamaica, isn't it?
Yep. And then there were some other funny ones, but like, I want to see the Costa Rican teams. I want this whole like that's another thing I hate the idea of merging with South America too. Like, not that I'm like xenophobic, just that I want to see North America get better. Like, how cool would the world be if like in the top 20 teams in the world there'd be like 6 from CONCACAF? You know what I mean? Like, how dope would that
Yeah,
future be?
and
You
it's
know?
like
Without Champions League, European Champions League, I don't know how we get that because our Champions League is not the same as European Champions League.
It's not, but like but look,
it's funny. It's fun. It's fun.
Yes.
It could be funny because the reason I say it's funny is because I think last night's game in El Salvador, Alianza versus crap, I forgot.
was that Philly?
Was it Philly?
I
There
don't
was a one.
Yes.
No,
know.
there was a
forgot
game
who's
where a
going on.
dog was on the field.
It was Alianza Philly.
That is Philly. I saw the dog.
I was like, man, that dog was playing better soccer than the whole team, both teams, because man, that field was horrible.
Oh,
Like,
can we say something real quick since you brought up Philly? You know the Fire are gonna win this weekend, and it's a mirage
You think so?
because Philly had to travel down there for Champions League. They just came off a tough game last weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're gonna win, and everybody's gonna lose their shit, and it's gonna be a mirage.
People are gonna start thinking that we're gonna win MLS Cup.
Right.
You know, but everybody gets excited like that. Even I get excited like that. If the Fire pull out a win out of that nobody expected, I'll be like, oh my god, we're going to the playoffs. We're gonna.
It's like how I am near the end of the season. It's like, okay, well, there's like 10 games left, and if they win, if they win 6 of them, we're okay. Then they'll lose like 2. Okay, there's 8 games left. If they win 6 of them,
Yeah, you start trying to crunch math.
yeah.
But see, that's the thing. I think, believe it or not, guys, I feel like we're blessed to be supporter fans of the Fire because of how scrappy this team could be. It breaks your heart, but at the same time, it makes you full sometimes whenever they win unexpectedly.
That's why I say, like, that's why I live in the Midwest still. The winter, it hardens you, makes you tough.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. Like, you know what? You took the words out of my mouth. That's what I tell people. These cold winters, they make people. They make it shows your true colors. How if you can survive. Because I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm moving away from Chicago because it's too cold."
Oh, you say it every year. We
What?
all say it every year. We never do.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, why do I do this?
He's like, and I'm like, I don't care. I got, I'll go shovel snow because that's how I'm raised.
Hell yeah. Oh man.
I'll go drink Green River. I don't care.
I don't care what it does to my gut or poop.
Exactly. I don't care if it cleans toilets better than Clorox. Yeah.
Oh shit, hold on. Connor said something. Never bet versus Philly. They might end up winning 4-1 now. Oh,
Connor, come on, Connor.
I don't believe it, but this isn't a dig because if they're doing poorly, because I think they might be. But how is the Crew doing so far this season? What are we looking at with them?
They lost. I think they lost they lose the second game. Yeah. Like all
games with Darlington Nagby. How do we not reach out and say, Darlington, why don't you come play
look at Austin. Last year they were like hot shit. Now this year, look at them. They're losing against teams from Haiti that are playing in neutral venues because they don't have a legit stadium.
Oof.
They lost.
You forget how long those flights are and stuff, and you forget the atmosphere. Like, don't forget, it took like a 88th minute header from Eddie Johnson on a cricket pitch in our Antigua and Barbuda for the U.S. to continue on in qualifying in 20 I don't know, that was 2012 or 13.
Yep.
So shit can get hairy down there.
Well, not only that, but it's like, first of all, you would expect that these teams, especially Austin, will charter a private flight to fly direct. I think
it's
for the most part,
bro.
It's still a flight. But you know what? In a sense, yeah. Because now that I think about it, they played on Saturday, and they probably had to fly out Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have a little bit of jet lag Tuesday morning or whatever.
Oh, easily.
And you got to play. Yeah, and you have to play a game.
Did they play
later
their starters, or did they play only 3 of their starters?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because that's what I thought I heard.
I saw Driussi on. I know Driussi was mentioned somewhere in that lineup. Let me see if I can find out. But yeah, they were really. Man, I didn't expect them to go down like that. Especially to I'm not no kudos to forgot the name of the team, but kudos to that team. But not to take anything away from them, but man, they were playing in a neutral area because I guess their stadium didn't meet FIFA requirements.
What?
They were playing in the Dominican Republic. They were not playing in Haiti. They were playing in the Dominican Republic. And on top of that, one of the nicer things is the name of the team is called Violet AC. The lineups here, I got the lineups right here. They had Urruti starting. They had Fagundes starting. They had Ethan Finley. They had maybe the backline. They still had Hector Jimenez.
So they played a half legit lineup. They tried to win the game.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that um, they actually the other team, Violet AC, actually had supporters from Haiti go and cheer them on in the Dominican Republic. They actually came with a supporting group, um, which was nice. And that's the thing is like you see a lot of that in places like Central America and Mexico, especially in the Caribbean. You see dedicated supporter groups that don't care that their team might be, you know, minnows in a big pond. They'll still support them like crazy.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
Um,
yeah.
that's why I want our region to stay the way it is, because I feel like if you go to like the Gold Cup, a lot of countries that's their World Cup. Because well, until recently, now that there's going to be like 64,000 teams in the tournament, but before when there was only 32, not everybody got to go. So like, oh, the Gold Cup, awesome, like that's I don't know, man. I like
I
CCL and I like to see that
yeah,
dedication. I remember way back in the day of like Fox like Fox Soccer Channel
yep.
and the Montreal Impact going like on a or no, the Puerto Rican Islanders going on a huge CCL run. Like it was awesome.
Yeah,
Canadian club last year, Forza.
Who?
I thought Canadian club Forza went far last year too.
Oh, I didn't pay attention.
yeah.
I
But
usually do. I'm
you,
usually like an inject it in my veins kind of guy for Champions League, but I've fallen off the last couple of years.
and it's the thing. It's always nice to see stuff like that, man. Especially if you watch CCL now, and when you have MLS teams. Like for example, I was like the Philly game last night. That was a pretty good crowd for Alianza. On the Tuesday night. Right now I'm watching Olympia and Atlas. That stadium is packed. You know,
Where's it at?
they're playing in
Honduras.
Tegucigalpa, yeah.
Okay.
So they're playing in Tegucigalpa, and that stadium is packed. You know, but they don't care that they're playing against the Mexican champion. They're there to support their team, just like any other team around CCL or even the domestic league. And that's the beauty of this region. And you see them, and if you guys remember back in the day, I think this was Fox Soccer. Was it a Fox Soccer channel or
Yeah, it was
ESPN
called.
Worldwide or something like that? If back in the day, and they still do this, but I just remember vividly back in the day, if you were watching a Copa Libertadores or Copa Sudamerica match, and you were watching a team like Boca Juniors or River Plate, or even going to Uruguay and watching Peñarol or Nacional, bro. You saw that stadium. There was flares all over the place. People throwing paper, toilet paper, whatever, confetti. The stadium looked crazy.
It was
Oh,
rocking.
It was scary.
that's where those supporters come in, dude. Like it wraps around to what we were talking about. That's how I like. I first cared about soccer from the '94 World Cup, and then like I would just watch the World Cup. Like I cared about it. Like 2002, I watched all that stuff. But I really like the 2006 World Cup is kind of when I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch club soccer, and so I had Fox Soccer Channel and see like San Luis play somebody or like River and Boca. It's just like it was wild. Then they had the Italian league on there and they had some English league stuff on there. Like it was a huge introduction to soccer right away. And they
Yep.
would just tape delay and play shit. Like they'd play some live stuff, some regular stuff. I mean, I even remember them playing USL games on
Yep.
Friday nights. It just looked like high school games like
It's like
back then.
the A League, right? It was like not even USL. It was called like
No, it
the
was
A
USL at the time. It
US. Oh,
was
was
like,
you
but
okay?
Nike still owned them.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was
the A
wild.
League. You
Oh,
had the Rochester Rhinos, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's incredible to imagine how back in the day you were only able to watch club soccer, and I tell us, I mentioned this before, especially the Premier League. Back in the day, I want to say about 22, 23 years ago, late 90s, early 2000s, you were only able to watch the Premier League if you had pay-per-view. You
no,
had
Oh
to
my
yeah,
literally,
gosh.
and even before that, it was on PBS and stuff.
yeah, you had to you had to buy the game to watch it. And then little by little, they started including some of these soccer games, not the Premier League, but you started including stuff from like, CCL or or the Champions Cup, whatever it's called, whatever it used to be called, they started adding these.
It was what was it? Oh my god, yeah, when LA won it.
Yeah,
I'm
they were like
forgetting now.
adding. They were like putting this on like there was. It wasn't even a Fox Sports channel. It was called like Fox Worldwide or something like that, or ESPN Worldwide or something. They started adding these soccer games in like these third or fourth tier ESPN channels that you had to get like a special package or something like that. But little by little, that started getting better to a point that where we at now. We're sitting on like an Apple TV deal for MLS. If you want to watch the Premier League, if you want to watch the Premier League, just get NBC or Peacock.
It is truly the easiest time to watch
Serie A,
soccer than ever.
You get Paramount, like it's wild, dude.
Yeah, Paramount, HBO now.
I mean, yeah, that is so wild to me. Like, it is incredible to have lived through this kind of like progression of the sport in this country.
This renaissance.
Yeah, I mean, oh god, I remember watching some of that stuff. Like I said, I would watch the USL game just because. Oh my god, I gotta give it ratings. I have to give this ratings. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It just is.
I still remember watching The Fire, and I wasn't even a Fire fan back then. This was like early 2000, 2001, where they still had like that extra time that was like 10 minutes or something. If the game was still tied.
Oh yeah.
Oh
god, dude, I remember seeing some of those older MLS Cups.
Yep.
And I was just thinking about that because I was screwing around on the Apple thing, and they have every All-Star game ever.
Oh god, remember those jerseys? East versus West.
Yeah, I clicked on the first couple just to like get a feel for it. You know what I mean? It's just wild.
That was a very nitty gritty. And I actually read books about the early years of the MLS. A lot of these teams, whatever 6-8 teams that started off MLS, I think the only one that actually had some sort of real kind of training facilities was like DC United, because they basically took over RFK because
because the Washington team left.
The Washington team left.
They had RFK, which my heart is broken. I know Audi Field looks awesome, but like you should have just done something with RFK. It's kind of like hallowed ground for soccer in America.
Fun fact, I've been there twice, actually.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Man, I went there twice. I think the first time I went there was to watch Honduras play against USA for a World Cup qualifier game in 2001. I still remember that. And also to watch a friendly with Honduras versus Bolivia or Peru. But of course, that stadium was always, even on TV, it was always odd looking, because it was
so odd, but that was part of the charm, dude. It was it was beautiful in its disgustingness.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like how I felt about Wrigley. Like they have redone Wrigley, but I always felt like tear the whole damn thing down and leave the fence. And leave only the fence with the ivy on it, and then build a stadium around it.
It's like, yeah. And it's like, I think a buddy of mine is a diehard Cubs fan too, said this. He said, yeah, Wrigley is nice, but if you want to watch a ball game, you better go to, Guarantee Field or whatever, the Cell, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Comiskey, yeah. The food is better. And I actually went.
Everything is better.
Yeah,
everything is better.
And actually, I don't know if I told you guys, I actually went to Guaranteed Field over the summer because we were doing like a bachelor party for one of our buddies that was getting married, and he's a big White Sox fan. And we actually got like a suite, like the club suites, whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
And Tim Anderson has I guess, so the story goes is that we were all hanging out in the suite, just kind of enjoying the view, whatever. One of the staff for the ballpark comes in and says, "Hey guys," he tells us, "Hey guys, cheer as hard as you can because Tim Anderson has a habit of throwing balls to the clubhouse, from third base."
Nice.
And we were like, okay. And then Tim starts throwing balls to the fans, and he sees us. We're screaming our heads out of the the balcony or whatever, the glass or the window. He sees us. He tries throwing it the first time. It misses. He goes for a second time, and we catch it. I think we all signed the ball and gave it to our buddy that was getting married. Like, oh, here,
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
as a moment, you know, Tim Anderson's not here to sign it, but we will all sign it for you. At least we all know Tim Anderson touched this ball.
Mm-hmm. Tim Anderson was here.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, going back to the whole situation with supporter groups and the supporting the fire and all that, at the end of the day, they represent Chicago. It represents Chicago. That's what we have. I mean, and there's a couple of other teams, like I know there's Chicago House, and if you really want to get nitty gritty, you can start even looking at some of the teams that compete in the U.S. Open Cup. But at the end of the day, man, we just want this club to be successful. We want to be in the sun, so to speak. We want to be the face of this.
We want it back to be like the soccer being good and good times in the stands.
It's like,
We
yeah,
all
we
want
want
a high five. Like, we don't mind losing now and again. It makes it real. But like, we want to go and hit the fambulance and do like beer bongs with our buddies, and like,
Yeah.
we want to play bags with somebody we know, and have ongoing bets with this person, and meet all these new people where like you meet this person so you go see their band. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
We want that community that's just like, I think it's just the lost generation. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
mean,
just the from being so bad, the editorial, this band, the whole everything.
yeah,
It's
I
just,
mean, like I was gonna say, like 20, like you mentioned right now, like the whole sense of community, people getting along and everything. I remember 2011, probably the last few years where you kind of had a sense of community in the supporter group section. You could walk by that parking lot where all the supporter groups were at. You walk by there, they see you. They're like, "Hey, you want a shot? You want something to drink? Just hey, you don't have to
we're
make a don.
cooking. Come on over. We're cooking over here.
Yeah, we're cooking. If you want to make a donation, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. You know, um, and I remember walking by Huseria, and those guys were like, "Oh, you guys ever try some of this Polish, vodka, or whatever? Mix it with the liquor." No. Okay, here, just try it. That's how inviting the environment was back then.
Well, remember, I think they even stopped doing it. Do they still do the Rock Against Racism thing where they have the bands and everything?
I haven't seen it happen in a couple of years. I think I
Yeah.
saw. I don't know if they were there last. I don't think they were last year, but
Well,
maybe they were.
I mean, COVID kind of messes
COVID.
stuff up.
I remember the Rock Against the Racism ban. They did it for a couple of years, and then after that while, it kind of just faded out. I want to say, but and the thing about it is that the supporter groups back then, they tended to put out their merchandise, advertise their merchandise on Twitter, like, "Oh, hey guys, we have new scarves," And I actually bought a few of them before. Like the picture I posted, I bought that from a guy that was representing. I don't even know if it was a Banter Buddies or independent supporter, but that was a cool scarf.
Yeah,
And
there used to be people making different scarves.
yeah. Even Sector Latino had this really cool scarf that if you fold it, if you kind of wrapped it around your face in the right spot, you could kind of have like half your face look like a skull.
Yeah.
You know, that was a really cool scarf. I regret not getting it. And I actually, in my old job, I actually worked with one of the guys with Sector Latino, and it's funny because I didn't even know who he was until I'm like, yeah, I gotta go to work. I'm leaving. I'm going to go to the Fire game, and he stops me. He's like, wait, you like the Fire? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a season ticket holder. And he's like, oh crap, yeah, you probably seen me around. I'm like, who are you? He's like, I'm from Sector Latino. And I was like, oh really? He's like, yeah. And I was trying to get a scarf for him, but he was like, oh, you got to come help us out. I'm like, oh, dude, my time is valuable. I got to support the club, and I got to go to work.
Hey, DPG, what do you do for the kids in the neighborhood or in the community? Nothing.
Nothing. But if obviously if they want some tickets, by all means, I'll give them a ticket if
Dude, is this a home game this weekend?
No,
it's in a way.
Yeah.
When's so we have like 3 straight home games, right?
Yeah, I think in this we have like I actually have the schedule at my job printed out and posted on my cubicle.
Fuck. Sorry, buddy.
We need a little reunion at a game here soon.
For sure.
Live spitting fire from Toyota Park. Dude, DPG, you were brought up books. I forgot. Last time I was talking to James, I told him I wanted to do a book club because I had bought that Bobby Warshaw's book, that When the Dream Becomes Reality, and I just haven't read it yet. I've had it since like COVID started.
Dude, I haven't had a chance to read books because it's different now with when you have a 2-year running around and at night you're kind of just beat up. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have my second kid on the way,
Oh, congrats!
so it's gonna be even less time.
Oh my god, yeah.
But when I was reading books, I remember I was reading this one about MLS, about how the league started and everything, and they actually took note that, like for example, LA Galaxy had to have their practices out in a parking lot because they didn't have any training facility. They're practicing out in the parking lots. DC United got lucky because, of course, like we mentioned before, the Washington team left. Not only did they leave the stadium, but they also left behind an equipment room, weightlifting equipment. So that benefited the DC in the long run. And it was just chaotic. Like MLS started from like an office, right? Like an office, space being rented out.
It's wild, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it was mandated by, like, you got to think if FIFA had just said, "Oh yeah, screw it, host a World Cup, who cares," and not mandated that, like this might never have happened.
I always say that we're like FIFA's favorite kid, because there's no other league around the world that does what we do.
Right? Yeah.
FIFA will never let a league expand to like 32 teams without any relegation and promotion.
Yeah,
They wouldn't.
exactly. No, we're their favorite. Well, we were starting to get older now. The Middle Eastern countries are starting to get a little bit of treatment.
Well, we put that in. Well, yeah, that is true. But FIFA's not going to touch MLS.
Oh no. I mean,
that's
the money here. Like, that's the thing, is everybody's just waiting for like another 15 years. And I got to tell you, I think there's a strong possibility MLS is a top 5 league in the world in the next 20 to 30 years.
You really think so?
I've been
the
saying
money
that.
is already here. The governor just needs to be taken off, really. And so, like, once this World Cup happens, there'll be some more momentum.
Yep. Do you think that's one of the things that's holding back MLS is the fact that the governor's still on?
Yeah, 100%. If the salary cap was gone, Arthur Blank would have a team that could rival, like, maybe not Chelsea, but he would have a team that wouldn't get relegated in the Premier League.
Right, but would it be financially viable? Would it make financial sense to pay that much for a team that doesn't
super rich? If it loses money, it makes money.
I see, like, these teams aren't Real Madrid though. Like, where Real Madrid wins, they print money. Where Atlanta United wins, they get some accolades and they move on.
That's the thing. That will be the start, because it would only be a matter of time before MLS teams start having some sort of tournament or friendlies with Premier League teams in England. Not in the US when they do like their whole preseason No, like legit
Transatlantic Champions League.
Ooh.
Yep. And the thing about it is that if you get rid of like if you basically let every team become independent operators, this will be a very, very competitive league.
Oh yeah.
It will, but I don't know, man. I don't care if a few markets crash, but I think, like, especially since they've already expanded to this much, if you let them all be independent, I think you would see 15 of them crash. Like,
probably
right,
you'll probably see a lot of the stragglers kind of.
Sorry, I just got nailed.
But the thing about it is that they're struggling now. They're being held up by the league. So that's the thing, is that the league is kind of holding everything together. But yeah, in a sense. I mean, if you want to keep it NBA style, that's fine too.
Just no salary cap, or like, go quintuple times what you have, or 20 times what you have.
Oh, like keep it like MLB. What is it, like MLB style, where
luxury tax? Yeah, you hit a certain threshold and then you just pay more money to other teams.
Not only that, but like, how is it possible that you have all these shitty MLB teams that the Fire have probably higher attendance than they do, and they still stay afloat and still sign players for like,
because they have 80 home games and not 17.
well, either way. I mean, have you seen either
They have
way?
80 games not at home. 80 games in their own stadium, not 17.
Yeah,
There
but
is
that's
something
a lot
about
of
that.
games. There's I guess okay. You know what? Yeah, and that you make sense there. Yeah, I can see that. I think yeah, NBA has like 70 something.
Well, it's 82 games, so you got to think you have 41 at home.
Yeah, and
Same
you're
thing
always
with
gonna.
hockey, right?
Yep.
Hockey's 82 as well.
Yep. Correct.
Unless the MLS were like to hike up prices to some crazy NFL style, then yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I think it's at a good balance where it's at. If it gets any
Yeah.
more expensive, it's going to be stupid. It's already kind of stupid. Like I'm still kicking myself I didn't buy season tickets when it was $200 to be in Section 8.
Oh, you remember that? Remember those days? I think I remember that. And if you bought them at a certain time, you could get them for as low as 180.
Or you would get them like through Section 8's website, and they wouldn't have the tax on there.
Oh, those were back in the day.
Yeah. Like, dude, that was like, 2011. That's why I started off. I started off at Section 8 because that was the cheapest seat, and I wanted to be part of it. So, and I was in Section 8 for a couple of years. I was there for, a good 5, 6, 7 years.
I mean, it's fun, dude. Like I said, I still think back fondly of watching Kenny Cooper whoop our ass, being completely drunk, jumping up and down on metal bleachers in a torrential downpour. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
still remember. I still remember people at Section 8 when the opposing team scored in front of them. Everybody would start flicking the guy off.
oh, jeez. I mean, it was fun, man. Like the cat would bust out the trumpet and play the Tetris song.
Yep.
Like shit used to be fun.
It was even fun, stupid when I remember when they did the pirate flags. Oh my god! I think that itself was the catalyst of the reason why I even left Section 8 and went on to get better seats. Because do you recall the pirate flags?
I do not.
Okay, so there were I guess they were protesting Andy Hoffman. I guess Andy Hoffman. So Section 8 decided
a good cause at least.
Yeah. Section 8 brings out these pirate flags that are tied to these PVC pipes, the legal pipes could carry. And it was a little bit short-sighted because now you had a bunch of drunk people with these flags, and you had a lot of drunk, I don't want to say minors, but young people that were drunk and kind of hitting themselves and swinging those flags around and, missing other people that are not even part of their group. I remember I went to this game and I brought in, I think it was my then girlfriend, wife now, and her grandfather and her uncle and all that. I bring these people in there, and then these drunk guys are just swinging the flag around all stupidly in front of them, like they almost clocked my wife's grandfather,
Oh,
God. And I think that was like a very embarrassing moment for me because I'm like, man, we were just trying to watch. At that point, I was just there to watch the game. I kind of got over the whole going crazy and cheering, and at that point, I just wanted to watch the game. So, at that point, I was like, you know what? I called. I think I remember calling my season ticket holder rep the next day or whatever, and he told me, you know what? Can I just, can I go try out different seats because I want to get out of Section 8,
Wow.
And yeah, he hooked me up. He didn't hook me up, but I mean he let me try out I think the one section I requested was club section. And he really hooked it up. He hooked it up, and it's kind of, what, that brings up another point. I actually had a chance to talk to him because he still works for the team. And unfortunately he's leaving. So that sucks. But yeah, but it happens, it's a business.
Fire losing a good guy.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's pretty much what, I got club seats. And it's weird because do you guys remember Mike Ernst?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So there was a point in time that I had these really good club seats, and I've had them for like 2 seasons at that point. And I decided for a career change and took up some contract jobs and whatnot. And I guess, one of the contract jobs didn't pan out as I wanted to. And, this was like November. I was out of a job for like a month. And and I still had all this, I signed up for club seats, so I had this whole payment plan thing going on, and I remember calling the fire and trying to get them to see if they could refund me the money, because I'm like, man, look, I won't be able to afford to pay you guys because I just lost my job, blah blah blah. The first season ticket holder rep that I talked to was like some new guy that was assigned to me, and he was like, no, you can't do that, blah blah blah.
What?
And then here's the thing though, I reach out to Mike Ernst. I sent him a message, I think on Twitter. I'm like, hey Mike, this is my situation, because at that point we have had prior, we've talked before. So he had an idea who I was. I told him like, hey, look, I lost my job. I can't afford to pay these tickets no more, and I don't want to leave in a bad standing with the club or whatever. Is it possible you guys could refund me the money that I started paying for these seats? It's only been about a month or two of payment that I made. Can I get that refunded? He said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. It's going to be refunded to you in a couple of days.
Boom.
And he did that. He didn't have to, because technically it said no refunds on the site or whatever. He helped me out. And stuff like that I never forgot. And then
you don't forget that stuff, man.
And the thing about it is that, this was November. I think by January I was already working again, and I signed up for like Section 8 tickets again, the cheapest seats I could get.
Bam, you're back.
And I'm back.
Well,
and I'm like,
that's fucking awesome, dude.
And when you see stuff like that happen, it's hard to kind of walk away from the club.
Right. It makes you not want to. Listen, guys, I'm gonna have to bounce. So I wanna just like wrap up my portion of this with this. I have talked a lot of what could be considered shit about supporter section and Section 8 or whatever. But even just as recently as like 2017, 18, the last time I actually went to a game, I took a couple of my buddies and my dad, and we all stood and sang and hung out in Section 8 and had beers and hit the Fambulance and did the whole damn thing, man, and just had an amazing time watching a terrible team get its ass whooped. FC Dallas of all people.
Oof.
So like that's where it is, man. It sucks because it does need to get better. I will say this, I'm very happy with seeing some of the social media of people being like, well, wait a second. Hold on. Talk to me. Let's make this better. Because like it's better than the apathy that we've had for so long. Hopefully new ownership coming out of COVID, getting past this season, which is gonna suck, we can start having some hope in like community again.
Yeah.
That would be really nice to have.
Yeah, like I said before, if the Fire win the U.S. Open Cup, if the Fire win the MLS Cup, great. Or if the Fire even won the U.S. Open Cup, I think I'll start crying.
Oh my God!
The oldest competition in American history, or the oldest in soccer.
One of the oldest in world soccer history. It had the longest streak without being interrupted until COVID.
Yeah,
it was like 98 years or something like that. But
it's older than a lot of these professional leagues.
Yeah, it is.
NFL and NBA.
Isn't it older than English Premier League?
No.
The English Premier League is actually it is.
The Premier League's 92
from the 90s.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at.
First division, yeah. It used to be called the English First Division, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, guys, I gotta roll. James, thank you for letting me on here. FC Neo Tokyo, with love to everyone.
Thank you, FC Neo Tokyo.
I think I'm gonna wrap it up too, James.
All right, sounds like a plan. Wrap it up.
All right, man. Good night, everyone. Go Fire.
Go Fire. What a great conversation. Always love when I get to talk with FC Neo Tokyo and DBG. 10-year plus season ticket holder. Always love to hear their opinions, especially when we're getting into the state of the Fire, talking MLS and how to improve all of our fan experiences. It's very fun. Finally, a weapon. All right. Empty. It's the only one I got. But I'm walking out of here. Let's go. Thank you for joining us here on Spit and Fire. By the way, everybody, kick that like and subscribe for more Spit and Fire. Greatly appreciate you guys hanging out live, or if you're watching after the fact and want to put a little comment below, Like, hello. Uh-oh, I'm getting shot from behind, I think. It was you, wasn't it? See ya. Bam. Any other problems? Not that I could see. All right, let's turn the music.